Guys, we are jumping into some cooking today. So I'm going to give you a few easy recipes. So the first recipe, very simple, straightforward. It is just pasta, the most basic pasta you can get. You've got your mince, your pasta, onions, pasta sauce, and mushrooms. Very simple, very straightforward. It's not going to please a lot of people. In fact, it might upset some Italians, but I'm not here to please. I'm here to make meal prep simple, easy, and effortless. Do mind the mess, but the first step is to chop some onions. Okay, very easy. We're going to try a little ASMR style here. So I'm just going to put the mic right next to the onions. Please do excuse my lack of culinary skills here. I'm not a chef, I'm just a fitness coach. So please forgive me. And this is basically how you dice an onion. Again, I'm no pro, and if you need help doing this, plenty of tutorials on YouTube for you to look at. It is time to cook la pasta. Very exciting. I think that's enough water. So we're going to start with the onion. So you're going to add in a bit of olive oil. If you are tracking calories, you do kind of want to measure it out. If you have one of those small measuring cups, that would be useful. Not like a cup, but like a small size one, like the size of a tablespoon or teaspoon, would be useful. But you can also use a regular spoon, just won't be as accurate. So I'm going to add in roughly 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and this will help the cooking process, and I think it helps bring out a little more flavor in the onions. But again, I'm no chef. So let's put in, hang on, I forgot to switch on the fire. So switch on the fire first. So we're zooming in on the onion here. So you do want to wait for the pan to heat up a little bit. I probably could have waited a tad bit longer, but I think we're pretty good here. We're pretty good. So I've got the onion in the pan, and add a little bit of salt to taste, and it will also bring out the flavor. And you can also add some pepper in as well, salt and pepper. Good old-fashioned salt and pepper goes a long way in adding flavor. So we're going to do a bit of a cook about. And we want to brown the onions. This is what's going to give it the caramelized flavor. You don't necessarily have to cook them till they're caramelized, but you do want to brown them a bit to bring out the flavor. So zooming out again so you can see my beautiful face. The onions are cooking pretty well. I am going to add in the mushrooms in a sec. Now I could cook the onions for a bit longer, but we are going for efficiency, not gourmet. So with that being said, I'm going to chuck these mushrooms into the pan. So there is a high volume here, but the thing with mushrooms is they shrink. So you'll cook them down and they'll lose a lot of their volume. So don't stress if it's really filling up the pan because they will shrink down. So I'm just cooking off these mushrooms. As you can see, the volume has greatly reduced whilst I'm waiting for the water to boil. So I'm going to finish cooking off these mushrooms and then I'll put it aside and then we'll cook the mince. And then after we cook the mince, I'm going to add in the sauce and the water will have boiled by then. So we'll cook off the pasta and then we'll just put it all together. Very straightforward, very simple. So I've cooked off the mushrooms and now I'm about to cook up the mince. So have some pork and beef mince here and I'm just going to cook that up. So look, this recipe isn't groundbreaking. I'm sure all of you have cooked pasta before, but I think it's helpful to walk you through the process and show how easy meal prep really is. All right, you don't have to overcomplicate things. You just want to get it done. That's it. So the pasta is cooking. The mince is almost done. And I'm going to add the sauce in a second to this mince here. So give me 1 second. So we have the sauce here. I would actually advise using more than one bottle of sauce, just because if you only use one, it just doesn't feel saucy enough when you spread it amongst everything, right? Because you have 1 kilo of mince here, about 500 grams of mushrooms, and 1 onion, and then not to mention 500 grams of pasta as well. So there's actually a lot of volume of food. So in order to match that, we want a bit more pasta sauce so that it's actually sauce rather than, you know, not having enough sauce. So make sure you're scraping out everything and not wasting anything. My parents come from China, so they didn't have a lot of food growing up. So it always taught me not to waste anything, and I love that actually. Because why waste food? You can always use it one way or another. So yeah. So guys, it is time to plate, so to speak, even though I'm not using plates. But we go pasta first. So just grab a bunch of pasta, Chuck it in there. Easy does it. Easy does it. So make sure to have an even spread of pasta, as even as possible. It doesn't have to be exact or anything like that, but you just want to make it more or less even. So maybe I'll put a little bit in this one here, and now that's even Steven. And okay, just put a little bit here. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be exact because it will average out through the week anyway. So if you just have more or less, you just need to eyeball it more or less. Now we're going to put in the mushroom and onion. So do a few scoops each one. So you don't want to go too many at once on one container, because then it'll be a bit more uneven. So you just kind of have to pace yourself with it. But this is as easy as it gets. This is the meal prep process. I mean, as I said before, I'm sure you've cooked pasta before, so it's really not rocket science. It's quite simple. And I'll show you how to calculate the macros as well. So with the macros, I'm just going to talk as I put the pasta sauce in. So I've made 5 meals here. So essentially what you're going to do is, usually you'd use an app like MyFitnessPal. I highly recommend using that one if you're not already. But you're going to create a recipe and input all the ingredients. So in this case, 500 grams of pasta, kilo of mince, onion, mushroom, olive oil. Don't forget to input olive oil as well. Pasta sauce. And so you put that into the app, and then you divide that by 5 essentially. So you put in 5 servings, and then the app will divide that up by 5, and then you'll get the amount of calories, and you'll get the protein, carbs, fats, and all of that good stuff. So that's basically how you do it. So I'm just going to finish putting this into the containers, and then I'll catch you on the flip side. All the pasta has been put into the containers, so I'm just waiting for it to cool down a little bit before I put it in the fridge. But there you have it for meal prep. It's very simple, very straightforward. It doesn't take too much time or effort, and it tastes pretty good as well. Very simple, very easy. So this is the first episode, very basic. And next episode, I'm going to teach you how to make fried rice. Still very basic, but there's a little bit more to it, but still very simple. So if you enjoyed this video, then obviously stay tuned for the next one, which will be the fried rice.